Chapter 71, I, the one who had sprouted. They fled with all their might. Their prided leg strength, trained for the sole purpose of slaying monsters, was used solely to get away from that spot at that moment. Something unbelievable has happened right in front of their very eyes, and that was what their brain commanded instinctively. Thus, they must flee this place immediately at all costs. As if it were a demon lord, the moment the monster noticed the presence of the living, all the men simultaneously fled for the sake of their own survival. Those who survived simultaneously sprang into action. They calculated that this will raise their chances of survival, even by a little. That's what the men though. They haven't heard that such a monster was here. The instant the light sparked, thousands of soldiers died. Even those who had built resistance against fear couldn't help but panic. Their hearts haven't shattered solely due to the fear towards their owner, Sakaguchi Hinata, whom they serve. Hinata hated them, but even if they were treated like worms, this will only make them feel gratitude instead of anger. This was something obvious. It's because they were attracted by her overwhelming cold-heartedness and her strength, that they pledged loyalty to her out of fear. They are strong individuals themselves. And in terms of battle prowess, they can rival even a holy knight. However, even in a group, they are no match for Hinata. This had created absolute horror within them. They can't possibly think of any dissatisfaction. Dian comment, a masochistic army? Unbeknownst to them, however, this fear served to be in their favor, as it was thanks to this that they were able to survive. The reason being that the moment their heart shattered due to fear, they would be as good as dead. Their desire to inform Hinata about this has desperately spurred their feet into action. They believed that if it's Hinata, she can beat that monster. However, the hopes of those men are going to be shattered. Because in the eyes of their pursuers, they are naught but simple prey. All for the sake of being recognized. Pathetic prey kept alive for the sake of recognition. Without a sound, the devil gave chase to the prey. A hunt after such a long time. It'll be my loss if I don't have fun. A superb feast was given earlier, I am very satisfied. This hunt will serve as an excellent after-meal exercise. Kufufafu. This is great, isn't it? Please entertain me, Tilda. He mutters so with a twisted expression. His smile was a smile that would spring forth fear from the very root of the soul in the beholder's heart. Already, two of his subordinates were let loose. There is no escape for the prey. In front of the escaping men, two devils are blocking their way. They suddenly appeared in front of them using spatial transportation. Abandoning their friends, impatient men who immediately chose to escape had already disappeared. Remembering the symbol of fear which was Hinata, they desperately held on to a thin margin of their mind. The situation will not change for the better. However, the pride in working for the church has allowed Blood Shadow to regain his confidence. Instantly he was able to deduce the identity of the devil. It was a greater devil. It's a dangerous foe. However, there is three of us. He can win against one in a 1 versus 1 situation, there's no way they could lose in a 3 versus 2. TCH. He summoned a difficult one. However, he's not giving chase himself, perhaps he's physically exhausted. Yes, that's true. Rampaging to that degree is bound to consume magical energy, that's what I heard. While they were conversing with one another, the greater devil took up a defensive posture. The greater devil showed no sign of moving. The reason being that they are ordered only to act in a certain area. The beautiful devil calmly walking up from behind is one of them. Kufufafu. Has this chase scene ended? Well then, please allow me to capture them. If they were to resist, please do whatever you want. However, no killing please, since we don't want to end their suffering, do pay attention. With a twisted smile, the beauty whose gender is indeterminable had spoken. Seeing this spectacle, his legs gave way, resulting in incontinence. With no strength left to complain, he didn't even have the slightest intention to resist. Shattering in an instant, his spirit had broken. Weird squealing noises. TN note, this actually translated to something, but it's actually just gibberish in the end. No words formed due to their dread. These three men are notorious murderers who handled the dirty work of the church. They're men whose skills in fighting against monsters are top-notch. The three men instantly recognized something the moment they witnessed this. Rather, the fact that they were still alive to bear witness the death of many others was worthy of praise. The greater devil is only one of many substitutes working. The devil before their eyes is in a different league of its own. Its existence can be called as such, archdemon. A resident in the spirit world as well as to the physical world where humans reside, it is an existence above devils. It is a spirit being, unmoved by the forces of this world unless reincarnated. Essentially, they are on the same level as spirits. When summoned with magical energy, all it could do is obtain a temporary physical body and function for a short duration. However, there are also those who gain a physical body in the physical world. One of the oldest demon lords is an example of such. The demon lord was certain that there are remnants of recollections of formerly being an archdemon. Archdemons are the pinnacle of authoritarian figures of the demon kind. Unofficially confirmed and only existing in a few records, they are half-legendary monsters. Their strength, A+, is said to be equivalent to pre-demon lord class. And their powers, remained as demon lords of legends. A single devil who destroys untold numbers of towns. In both name and reality, it is said to be the strongest of the demon lords. Such a being with the caliber of a demon lord, the archdemon is right in front of his very eyes. Naturally, he hasn't heard of this. However, the miasma enveloping his body isn't something easily dissipated. There is no doubt, an archdemon has appeared. There's no means of victory. Far from that, it is impossible to escape. Even a disaster-class monster can be competed with because it's a disaster-class monster itself. Ed, I really have no idea what this means. Against this kind of monster, even 100 greater devils is a far better opponent. The men lost all hope and collapsed on the spot. Looking at their state contently, the demon had a deeply distorted smile on its face. The demon captured the three people, and had its subordinates bring them back to town. One of them was appointed to lock up the men who were caught. Right in front of Benimaru's eyes, Rimaru's body has undergone irregular and strange changes away from his slime form. It soon calmed down, returning to its original streamlined shape. However, this time it was suspicious blinking colors like red, blue, yellow, green and purple. There was also a variety of black and white. And like this, some time had passed. At this point their sense of time has already become lost. People had begun to worry how long had passed. Warning. The individual, Rimuru Tempest's Demon Lord evolution has been completed. Moving on, the blessing of all affiliated monsters shall commence. The voice of the world echoed. Suddenly, a wave drowsiness struck. It would seem that the Rimuru's evolution was a success, thought Benimaru. Next is their turn, but they'd never thought that they would possibly feel sleepy. Thus they fell asleep unable to resist the urge. However, he made a promise with Rimuru, he couldn't possibly afford to fall asleep himself. At that time, Rimuru's body emitted dazzling rays of light. When the light settled, it revealed a gorgeous being with long, lustrous silver hair. Removing its familiar mask, it was Rimuru. With silver hair flowing over its cheeks, it was a display of heavenly beauty. It was tragic that this being has no gender. TN, Benimaru, ruining the moment. Warning. Leave the rest to me, please go to sleep. A voice resonated softly within his head. The voice gave Benimaru a deep sense of security. Benimaru, guided by the voice, was led to an irresistible slumber. At the moment he was notified, Rimuru had a long hard look around to make sure no one else was up. Only Milan was awake, looking around, taking in the unbelievable scene. With the exception of Yilmu, All the other humans had already taken refuge in the emergency shelters in order to escape the high concentration of magical energy. Therefore, the only person who's still awake here is Milan. The person with the appearance of Rimuru confirms this fact with expressionless eyes. Slowly, it began opening its arms. Long hair flowed towards its back, and angelic wings sprouted, basking the surroundings with dazzling light. Warning. The Wisdom Lord, Raphael, has commanded. The gluttonous king, Beelzebub, shall devour all magical energy within the barrier. By his command, the gluttonous king began. A brutal amount of power was released. However, this time there was a reason for the activation of this ability. This can be traced to the results the Wisdom Lord had calculated. Within the city of Tempest, all the magical energy was absorbed, rendering it into a void space. After the barrier covering the town had been devoured cleanly, the ability of the gluttonous king was halted. It's as if there was nothing at all. The being with Rimuru's appearance was the agent, Raphael, of the unconscious master. Raphael walks up to Shin where she originally laid. His hand hovering over the area, the analysis had begun. Carefully. In order to fulfill the Lord's desire. Milan watched the figure with astonishment. Being within the barrier, there was the threat they would be devoured in an instant, but even then, it's unlikely. With the master in the state of unconsciousness, the ability took autonomous action. If the command was issued beforehand, that would have been understandable, but such was not the case this time. Above all, the presence of this divine figure was simply too different from Rimuru's. Rather, it was closer to that of a spirit than a monster. It was such a stupid matter, yet she felt this is no laughing matter. However, Milan simply watched on without interfering. In response to Benimaru's request, Yomu was waiting at the exit of the city. Next to him, the devil Grusius. With the escaping king of Pharmas and the blood shadow captured, they had been asked to keep an eye on them to make sure they don't escape. But since there's a barrier, there is no entering nor exiting. So, even if Grusius were to be within the city, Ranga is still outside. The king is confirmed to be in custody, tied up by the subordinates and then transported into the building. TN note, in case you don't understand why Grusius was outside earlier, but inside the town now, it's because he received the package known as Blood Shadow in the King of Pharmas, and is now supervising them within a structure in the town. Due to the thick concentration of magical energy, conditions outside the house are bad. However, due to various reasons it's still too early to kill him. He had heard that there are 3 escapees that are currently being pursued by the demon Rimuru summoned. And so, Ranga went to sleep with that information in mind. It seemed that he originally intended to wait for it, but in order to receive the gift, sleeping was necessary. It also seems that he was lured into an irresistible deep sleep while watching him. But, to actually become a demon lord, I thought it was just a legend. Grusius muttered this while releasing a sigh of admiration. The concentration of magical energy is terrible, but with Yomu just outside of the town, it's still possible to converse with him. In regards to such a matter, Yomu heard nothing, not even a rumor. Even he who was familiar with back doors, there are still events he have no knowledge about, such as the evolution of a demon lord. Rimuru Dana, a demon lord. He looked back emotionally. But, I have the feeling that even if Dana becomes a demon lord, nothing will change. He was deep in thought without muttering a word. Grusius nodded with a laugh. That's for certain. The two said and hoped that no change will occur in Rimuru. To think that the other was thinking the exact same thing, the pair were pleased. Great minds really do think alike. Shin, I hope she resurrects. There's probably nothing to be worried about. Do you know that monsters, unlike humans, are very stubborn creatures? Saying this, Grusius laughed. This was a carefree idea to have, and Grusius seemed so. Hey you, so which demon lord did you serve? Can you tell me? He asked regarding something that bothered him. Oh. you noticed. Everyone ignored this topic. At first I was troubled about how it was ridiculously easy to deceive you lot. But actually, Then, under the command of the demon Lord Carrion, I was ordered to act as I see fit. Thus, until the demon Lord has issued his next command, he has decided to work under Yomu as his subordinate. Yomu nodded. Glad to help you, and I'll be relying on you. And they firmly shook hands with each other. Grusius and Milan. From here on after, the pair will be supporting Yomu. The duo had a chat. Oi, are you here to deliver something? A voice sounded out. What he saw was a beautiful demon. In Yomu's eyes, the greater devil displayed dignity. However, what Grusius saw was different. All the hairs on his body stood up on end as he felt the magical energy of the opponent. Oi, this is the first time I've met you. Are you an archdemon? What are you doing here? Grusius is still a young devil, he has no experience in conversing with a demon lord as a partner. He didn't even know about Milim, he's lacking in information about the world. That's why, this was actually the first time he had met an archdemon. Yet the danger can be felt with a single glance. Kufufu. There's no need to be on edge. I am but a nameless demon summoned by Rimuru-sama. Those two left behind over there are but part of my chores. For Rimuru-sama, I solely wish to show him my usefulness. What came out was a lovely and friendly voice. But when he looked over, the two men who gazed at the greater devil had fainted. No magic was detected in this, it's very likely he had the combat abilities of a Magian. This is an archdemon? This is no joke. That's what he thought, but he said nothing. Resistance is futile. So while Grusius was on edge, Yomu had trusted the man. The king of Pharmas was taken by his subordinates. While they were having such a conversation, the barrier suddenly dissipated. It seems something has happened. Grusius and Yomu looked at each other, and started sprinting towards the town square. The demon didn't run, but calmly used spatial movement. With an understanding of spatial transfer, this was something trivial. With his spatial transfer, he was the first to find Rimuru, and approached. With gorgeous flowing silver hair, it looked as if it was performing some sort of ritual for the deceased monster. Beautiful, he obediently embraced this impression. He wanted to witness this scene with rapture, but he couldn't do so any longer. He silently approached to avoid causing disturbance, and kneeled. I have returned, my master. He called out whilst paying close attention to make sure he doesn't disturb the master. He should have probably waited until the end of the ceremony, he was worried. Pardon me for my rudeness. However, it may appear that there isn't enough energy. What the demon is witnessing is the ceremony most likely called Arcane Soul Recall. Before resurrecting the dead, the Arcane attempts to recreate a perfect replication of the soul. If it fails, the person may become someone completely different, or even a monster. Based on wisdom that humans will never understand, this arcane magic was devised. Of course, in order to actually use it, a large amount of energy would actually be needed, and the amount of energy needed to control it was unimaginable. Even high-class devils will usually fail to control it. Therefore only the most skilled with soul manipulation within the demon clan would see this through. Yes. The insufficiency of energy for the purpose of completely revival was confirmed. Thus, a certain amount of life force will be consumed as substitute. These words had caused the demon to panic. Please wait a moment, Rimuru-sama. To use your own life force as a substitute. That's it. There's a better idea. Please use these ones instead. Having find joy in this idea, the demon had proposed such a thing to Rimuru. The greater devils walked up from behind, and knelt in front of him. For me, there is no greater joy than to be of assistance to you. Rimuru, no Raphael, observed the demon with two shining red eyes. No emotions reflect in those beautiful eyes. Understood. The amount of energy is confirmed to be sufficient in covering up the remaining portion. Then, he was devoured by the gluttonous king, Beelzebub, without resistance. The moment he was devoured, the greater devil dissimated. Then, he was converted to pure energy. He was useful to his lord, his wish fulfilled. The energy was shining with a joyous color. TN note, the ones devoured are his subordinates, not the archdemon himself. Oh! I'm envious of you lot. However, as expect of my lord. As compared to when I saw you earlier, you have underwent growth. He looked at the evolution of the lord with aspiring eyes. To be reborn as a demon lord, to serve a beautiful master, that was the wish of the demon. TN comment, it is unfortunate, but it has no gender. Benamaru. To that end, it could be said he has proven useful. He would do anything within his power to prove his worth. The required amount of energy has been confirmed. Now, the arcane soul recall shall commence. Confirming that the amount of energy is sufficient, the demon was still. Unless it was his turn, he fears that should he intervene it would only bring about failure. Right before the eyes of the demon, the arcane soul recall has successfully completed. A transparent, beautiful ball of light, covered in a smooth thin purple film. This was the soul acting as the core, and the astral body forming the outer defense. The moved on, and Shin's soul returned to her body. The success rates are lower than 3.14%. However, this probability was calculated prior to the evolution to a demon lord. Shin's soul, thanks to the blessing, has retained all her memories. Rimaru's wish has taken form, and this blessing was bestowed. In addition to retaining all her memories, there's an extra skill, complete memory. It is an ability that will allow the soul to return safely from the dead for an unlimited amount of times. You serious? With her soul and body establishing a connection once more, Shin's core had begun beating once more, and the dead has been revived. No, it was a miracle that happened precisely right when the soul was about to disappear. Rimaru's and everyone else's prayers were not in vain. Raphael did not show any signs of joy in response to this success. This was a result obtained through calculations and probabilities, just that. It didn't think of this as sadness, nor can it understand anything else. Even so, in the depths of this emotionless mind, is an ego tucked into a corner. Doubting his own existence, a small glimmer of a thought was subtly born, unbeknownst to the wisdom lord, Raphael. I think, therefore I am. TN note, look up Descartes. People don't think the universe be like it is, but it do. Black science man. This will become a proposition for the wisdom lord, Raphael, in the future. When Shin, the one who took the most damage, successfully revived, the remaining 100 people also began to revive. Their souls began to restore, and energy-filled astral bodies appeared once more. Following the flow of work, arcane soul recall and method to resuscitate the deceased activated, and it ended with success. The miracle, unknown to those within the city of monsters, was secretly granted by him. Only 2 monsters know about this: Milan and the demon. Milan gazed at the scene without making a sound as she was completely mesmerized by the ritual. She is someone who pursues the ultimate arcane magic and was clearly charmed by this. Regarding an unbelievable high-level arcane magic, she had managed to witness a glimpse of it from the vessel of the demon lord Rimaru. They themselves aren't on the level of a devil. Even Clayman was dissatisfying. Then, she sworn that she was lucky and thankful to have gained recognition. She had decided to lead Yomu so that Rimaru will never treat him as an enemy. Thus, the oath will become something to protect at all cost. Without uttering a word, the demon dreamily looked at Rimaru and began considering. Now, I'm having a conversation with myself, and not Rimaru. That's what I though. A skill gaining his own ego, that's something unheard of. In order to fulfill the wish of its master, a skill acting of its own accords, that is something unprecedented. Ridiculous. Such a thing couldn't possibly happen. Seemingly, that possibly was discarded. then such a thing. Please give it to your subordinates by all means. Thus, a new determination was rekindled. After a while, the footsteps of two individuals could be heard. Rimuru, Raphael, had completed his objective, and returned to a deep slumber. The panicking Yomu rushed over when he noticed Shin breathing like someone asleep. Oi, Shin-san and the rest, have they been successfully revived? Regarding this question, Milan was troubled for a moment. Yes. According to the sharing of gifts during the evolution, they seemed to be successfully revived. Now if only their memories are intact, then we're all good. And then, they'll be alright, right? She muttered something that Yomu couldn't hear. When doing so, the town folks began waking up one after the other. The concentration of magical power has been thinned, and they all panicked when they realized the barrier was gone. But it all boils down to joy when they realized Shin has resurrected. The city named Tempest was in a festive mood, and they were all wrapped up in joy. Those who know that the resurrection was brought about not by a miracle, but through an ability, Raphael, numbered only 2. And in the shadows, the ego of the skill the wisdom lord, Raphael, has sprouted, was an event no one knew about. Chapter 72, Upon Awakening. A new morning has come. That nostalgic phrase appeared in my mind. It's been a long time since I last felt the feeling of awakening. I mean, since I don't need to sleep in this world, this is this body's first experience at sleeping. I behold the scene before me, and see busy preparations occurring in every corner of the city. Even a quick feel reveals pulsating strength emanating from their bodies. That, I believe, is the effect of my evolution. Ah! Rimuru-sama, you have awakened. I hear a nostalgic voice. And from behind me, I feel a nostalgic aura. I was hugged from behind by 2 warm, soft hills. Evolution hasn't changed my slime form very much. If anything, my color became silver with streaks of gold. So, I'm that, right? Gold slime or something? The one that can move at the speed of light. Though that's probably impossible, I do feel a kind of highest type of slime around aura about me. This me was sitting on top of Shin's lap, her cheek rubbing against mine. Yup. It feels great. But, thank goodness. As planned, she seems to have resurrected. And I have become a demon lord. Moreover, not just Shin, but every person felled by the blood shadows has successfully come back to life. I had worried whether the success rate was affected by distance from me, so I'm glad everyone was able to resurrect. Well, I guess a Ven great sage makes mistakes. Though I don't mind if they make me happy. While rejoicing at her rebirth, I also dutifully enjoyed the feel of her breasts. A truly heavenly moment it was. But as if intending to ruin this beautiful moment. Oh, Rimuru-sama, you have awakened? But I must confirm whether you are fully yourself, or else we couldn't rest easy. You should remember our code, don't you? Now then, let me confirm. How Shin's cooking ? How will you respond? With an evil smile, Benimaru asks me. Of course I remember, it's horrible, right? Seriously, what do I reward? The moment I thought to respond, I noticed the peril I was in. Aren't I being held by Shin right now? If I say it's horrible, what will happen, I wonder? A terrifying image filled my mind. Wouldn't she squash me out of anger? Damn it. He got me. A classic Hiroaki style trap. What should I say? What would be a good response? Right. Great Sage will certainly come up with a good answer. I thought, and tried activating Great Sage, but it did not respond. What does this mean? Hey, Great Sage. Announcement. Unique skill Great Sages evolved into ultimate skill Raphael. As a result, it has been erased and cannot be used. Oh. So even my skills evolved. But, Raphael, huh? Named after an angel, seems pretty amazing. That aside, what's important is escaping this perilous situation. Alright, Raphael, what's the best phrase to deceive Shin with? Solution. After some calculations, an adequate phrase was not found. Useless tilde. Great Sage was no good with these situations and Raphael is just as bad. Honestly, so did the evolution affect the name without changing any parameters? Of course, this exchange happened within a single second. Eh? What about my cooking? Oh, it's been so long that Rimuru-sama wants a taste, right? That way you'll be able to show the results of your efforts. Surely, he'll happily accept the meal? And just a side note, I don't need any. Benimaru said such a wicked thing. And to try to leave himself out of it. This bastard. You know. Just when I woke up in a good mood, to be sentenced to eternal sleep is. Shin happily accepted his proposal, and hastily ran off screaming I have received his favor. I felt an unbelievable fear overtake me. Hey, what are you doing? No way I could respond, it's horribly, you know. You purposefully trapped me, didn't you, Benimaru? Ha ha ha, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, shouldn't you have a taste after so long? Thanks to the constant taste testing that I do, I've recently acquired poison resistance. Benimaru said with a distant gaze. Hey, are you kidding me? Poison resistance? Didn't you just equate her cooking to poison? What a tragedy. To find myself in it right after awakening. Just after enduring one peril, to find myself in another. The revived have come to greet me. Though their aura has slightly changed, their personalities seem to be the same. No lapses in memory, and their souls are properly attached to their bodies. However, each one has acquired the extra skill of perfect memory. This way, no matter how many times we die, we'll resurrect. They said as a joke. Or not? Extra skill of perfect memory is a skill related to soul memory. What is normally impossible, but they have now acquired a skill reserved for spiritual life forms only. After each one offered their greeting, they all returned to work on the festival. Whether to celebrate their newfound power or what, they decided to hold a festival. But, when they started coming up with hilarious names for it, like May's birthday party or Let's Worship Rimuru-sama party for example, I sincerely wanted to stop them. Well, it's fine. They can have all the fun they want today. After all, they are in very festive mood already. For a festival-loving Japanese that I am, any reason is good enough. Since coming up with some random reason to drink heavily is in every adult's nature. I had offered to help, but with grand reverence they rejected my offer. Well, I can't boast in my ability to prepare festivals anyways, so I'll rest up as requested. Then, a person I have been seeing around here a lot ran up to me. Your awakening fills me with endless joy. Allow me to congratulate you from the bottom of my heart for your rebirth as a demon lord. He says, bowing deeply. Who's that? Seems like a very high-ranked demon, but I don't know. And please pardon the rudeness, but regarding my earlier request to become your humble servant. How shall you respond? Have you made your decision? Becoming my servant? He says. I do remember summoning one or two greater demons. But no matter how I look at him, he's clearly beyond them. I was sleepy back then and couldn't see very well, so could he be one of them? Are you the one I summoned using the soldiers' corpses? As you say. It was truly a delicious meal. As a result, I was successfully able to materialize. Is that so? Good for you. What about the other two? Solution. The secret revival art was lacking the necessary energy. Thus, and to fulfill their wish, they have been used and erased. Wow. Raphael is saying such terrifying things with such a happy tone. It's even more heartless than Great Sage, and just showing off that wicked personality. And though I thought it useless a little bit ago, it has been supporting me from the shadows this whole time. Sorry for thinking that you are useless. However, to use up those demons that wanted only to be of use to me is just sad. Alright, got it. From now on you are one of my comrades. What's your name? Oh. You are too kind. But one such as I am a mere nameless demon. A high-ranked existence but nameless, huh? Can't be helped. Let's give him a name. But what name would be good? Demons that I know of. There's the one that became humanity's ally. There won't be any copyright violations if I use it, right? But, since this is a different world, I probably won't be sued. Whatever. Alright. In that case, you won't mind if I give you a name, will you? Will you truly? 'Tis the greatest reward imaginable. His beautiful face curved in a delighted smile. Yep, I really am predisposed to be loved by monsters. Time to get serious. This time, Supercar series. Was it? Your name shall be Diablo. Receive that name, and become my guardian deity. The moment I named him, a considerable amount of energy escaped me. I've really gotten used to feeling this. But hey, he took only half, at most. I mean, I was worried that being a high demon and all he'll take all of it, but... If I remember correctly, when I named the greater demon Beretta I was left with only a third of what I had. I guess a greater demon is also a high-ranked existence. Solution. Individual. Diablo was an archdemon to begin with. As the result of the evolution, Master's total magical energy amount has greatly increased. Compared to the original amount, it is now 10 times as large. Why yeah. Did Raphael just randomly decide to offer the advice? But, I seem to have said something inexcusable. I mean, I'm happy that it is now 10 times larger, but he took a half of that? This is... that, right? Oops, I did it again feeling? Won't he become some absurdly powerful fiend? The demon in front of me, kneeling, stopped moving. A black cocoon enveloped his body, creating a perfect evolution posture. Yep, I've done it again. No cure for stupidity, so nothing I can do about this now. Let's just hope that should it decide to rampage, that I'll be able to stop it. Since the evolution did not look like it was going to end soon, I just left him there. From now on, let's be careful about naming monsters. I promised to myself but was confident that I wouldn't keep this promise. Having completely forgotten about Diablo, I spent the time watching the festival preparations. While everyone was merrily fulfilling their tasks, I was dreading the meal prepared by Shin. And then, it came. The feared, Shin's cooking. Also known as the most lethal weapon around. With a bright, happy smile she brought me the meal. Time to say my prayers. It's here. Beholding the steaming dish. What is this? What the hell is this? That's not food. I shall not permit anyone to recognize this as cooking. A bunch of things flowing in the broth. Was she trying to make stew? Listen girl, when someone questions your food, you've already lost. Hey, Shin, wait. I have something I need to ask. Have you ever heard the phrase prepare the ingredients? Of course, Rimuru-sama. How does it look? Doesn't it look delicious? You fool. Why are carrots, potatoes, peppers, onions, and the other ingredients floating whole in there? So that you can't tell them apart by looking or something? You have to peel and cut them first. I screamed. And when I saw Ben and Maru walking by. What's this all about? There's clearly been no improvement? Dodging my words like holy water, Benamaru shrugged. Nope, this is impossible for me. I have hit a wall. A wall called reality. I had never thought that something could be impossible, but this time I tasted defeat. He said, scooting away. What's with a wall called reality crap? Stop screwing with me. I have to eat it, huh? When I look at Shin, her eyes are full of tears and she's trembling. No choice, opening my heart to the unknown like a monk, I decided to take the first step towards nirvana. Got it? I'll eat it. But, next time, please at least prepare the ingredients. About that. I did try, but I end up cutting the building. Huh? No, the Hercules edge is plenty sharp, but it's a little long. Pointing at the odachi on her back. She was cooking, no. Trying to cook with that? When I looked at Benamaru, he held up his arms as if giving up. What an undependable guy. My opinion of him is quickly falling. A sword is not a tool for cooking. You get it? Surely there's a knife around or something? No, I am one with Hercules' edge, so cheating on it is a bit. Ah, is that so? I thought of giving you a knife as a present soon, but I guess there's no need for that now. I was wrong. Hercules' edge is perfectly fine with me cheating on it, it said. I see. I'll give you knife sometime soon, so please use that to cook. What a good person. That should do it. At least, the ingredients shouldn't come out like that anymore. If I had this food. No, I refuse to recognize it as food. If I ate this thing, I should acquire poison resistance, I guess. It'll probably be useful from now on. No choice, I have evolved into a demon lord. I won't die from eating some food. I change into my human form, and commit myself to eating it. Stealing myself, I welcome some unknown substance into my mouth. Without chewing, I swallow. Huh? Something's wrong. It's pretty damn delicious. And no way. Though it looks completely inedible. I open my eyes, and, with the utmost care, eat another spoonful. Delicious. Benamaru was looking at me, as if praying. His eyes were asking me whether I was alright. Which means that when Benamaru tasted it, it was really bad. Shin has a triumphant smile on her face. That did annoy me a bit. P456. Shin, what is this? Why, unlike how it looks, it tastes great. Fufufu, the thing is. She said, and began the explanation. In short, in the middle of the evolution, when she needed to express her dearest wishes, she wished for her cooking to be delicious. I bet only she made such a wish during my gift-granting ceremony. What was she thinking, seriously? But, I guess that's just like her. No, this is just who Shin is. Thus, I obtained this skill. The name, Unique Skillful Cook. I'm so amazed I have nothing to say. To obtain a unique skill in order to cook, just how persistent was she? When I asked about it, apparently no matter what she uses, it turns out delicious. When Shuna found out about this, her eyes were full of tears of despair and hatred. Well, for someone who strives hard to succeed, such a skill is unforgivable. But Shin has completely went off course trying to improve. Well, that is just like her, I guess. The day was thus in preparations of the festival, and we partied deep into the night. Completely erasing the air of tragedy of a few days ago, the city was filled with smiling faces. Yomu and Ellen also participated in the festival, and thoroughly enjoyed themselves. There are a lot of loose ends to fix tomorrow, and we need to discuss the future. But, not now. Now, let's enjoy our lives to the fullest. That's just our way of life.